So we are with Mr. Olivier Ponti, who is the Vice President Insights of ForwardKeys, and we are here in Amsterdam attending MarketHub by Hotel Beds. So your company ForwardKeys is a data company. You collect data. So what data telling you about the impact of the last 2 years that we are locked because of COVID? What was the impact for the tourism industry, and where are we now?
Okay, maybe a few words about ForwardKeys and the
Please.
data we use. We're a travel analytics company. We're based in Spain, and we are specialized on air travel.
Okay.
So, in a nutshell, what we can do is tell you who will be flying where and when. And in order to do this, we monitor the supply side by looking at what airlines schedule for the coming month, how many seats, which routes they're planning to operate. And on the demand side, we look at searches that people perform prior to booking their trips when using meta search engines like Kiwi, Skyscanner, Kayak, you name it. We monitor the bookings made via all the key global distribution systems worldwide, and we monitor the tickets that are issued thanks to our partnership with IATA. Combining all those different sources of information, we have a pretty good idea of how the future will look like just by looking at the bookings that have already made and the tickets already issued. When you book your trip today, it's for a trip that will take place in the future, tomorrow, next week, 3 months down the road, and this is very valuable information to understand not only where we stand, but where the travel industry is going. So what have we seen happening in the travel sphere during COVID? Well, no surprise, a massive drop in international air travel, but we've also seen steady recovery, actually starting already in the second half of 2020 in some specific destinations. I'm thinking of Mexico and some others in the Caribbean. This recovery has further developed, and it's now very clearly a worldwide trend. We ended the year still very much below. We ended the year 2022 still very much below 2019 levels, but this year is starting pretty well. Why? Well, looking at all bookings made during the first quarter of 2023 and bookings on the book for the upcoming 3 months, we can see a strong rebound of travel from and within the Asia Pacific region. That was the missing piece of the jigsaw puzzle. So finally, APAC is reopening, and this offers plenty of business opportunities, not only in APAC but in the rest of the world. We're seeing one region shifting from recovery to growth, and that's the Middle East, surfing on the legacy of the mega events that the region has hosted. I'm thinking Dubai Expo, the FIFA World Cup, of course. There's also a positive effect from the religious calendar. Europe is steadily making a comeback, and so is Africa and the Americas. So all in all, we're clearly going in the right direction with a reactivation of international travel, intra-regional travel within Europe, which is also going quite strongly, and I wouldn't be surprised if the figures were getting better and better. As a matter of fact, looking at Europe, we can see that there is a very strong dynamism for travel from key markets in the Americas, like the US. That's very clear, but also from Mexico and Colombia, where we can see actually more bookings coming from these countries for trips to Europe than there were pre-pandemic. So even though the overall picture is still negative, we're still below pre-pandemic levels, some markets have reactivated so strongly that they are growing, and therefore offering once more good opportunities. And the same thing goes for destination. You can see a very strong interest in sun and sea destinations and nature destinations, which are very popular. They're still dominating the recovery. Think of places like Greece, Portugal, Spain, and even Albania. Albania, which is the
I was surprised to see that it's on the top of the list.
Exactly, it's a country that is growing.
There's a lot of demand for Albania.
Off the beaten track experiences, pristine beaches, and well, it's been a hidden jewel for a long time, but now people have discovered it, and this accounts for the strong growth in international travel in this part of the continent.
And you talked also about some new combinations of destinations in Europe that are happening for the long haul markets.
Yes. Multi-destination trips are back during COVID. Due to travel restrictions, people preferred not only flying direct but visiting one destination at a time. This is now over, and they're combining destinations once more. Looking at the US, for example, which is a market that tends to like combining different destinations when in Europe, we can see the classic combinations like the UK and France, or France and Italy, but we're also seeing some growing city pairs, not city pairs, country pairs.
Country pairs, yes.
Think Greece and Italy, for example, or France and Portugal, or Denmark, Norway, for example, which are all growing at a very fast pace. So this offers opportunities in terms of collaboration and cross-marketing.
Cross-marketing, correct. So you mentioned earlier that Asia is bouncing back. I suppose you don't talk only about China, but you talk about Asia in general.
Yes.
So what do you see from there? I mean, they start traveling, or where they going, or which markets they are developing there?
Well, the situation is in Asia. The overall picture is, of course, very much influenced by what's happening in China. So let's start with China.
Of course.
A late reopening, a very sudden reopening as well, that has left the industry a bit surprised, and this is taking time for all operators involved in the travel ecosystem to be fully back on track. I think that airlines need to reestablish the right level of service. They need to reestablish routes. Everybody's got to have staff. We know that's an issue. Passports needs to be issued. The visa applications are taking longer than they used to take pre-COVID. So there are a number of factors that are slowing down the rebound from this key market. That said, it's a market where there is pent-up demand. We can see it because the Chinese travelers who actually fly at the moment, they're ready to pay significantly higher fares than pre-COVID. We can also see that the high end of the segment has reactivated the most. There's a strong increase in the share of premium travelers from China to Europe.
That's good.
And when I say premium travelers, for us, it's basically people sitting at the front of the plane.
All right.
So this is positive. This shows that there is potential. The key issue is that air connectivity has not been fully rebuilt. So if people can't fly at the moment, in the best cases, we're at around 40% of pre-COVID levels in terms of air capacity. So no way the Chinese market will reactivate further than 40% of pre-COVID capacity if Chinese travelers cannot make it to Europe. And an additional issue is the consequence of the war in Ukraine that limits the operations of European carriers who are not able to fly over Russia, And the consequence is that trips between Europe and APAC are getting longer. You can see a strong increase in flights lasting more than 8 hours. And because those flights are longer, they're also more expensive because they use more fuels. And as we've just discussed, there's a shortage in terms of capacity, so this pushes even further the prices up. So there are some obstacles to the recovery. This is true for the Chinese market, but this is true for all the other Asian markets. Looking at it from a European perspective, it is of course a bit disappointing. We all like to get those travelers back because we know that they represent high value for the European travel industry. At the same time, as I've just mentioned, we have a strong dynamism of some other long-haul markets in the Americas in particular that partly compensate for the loss of those travelers. Besides, we know that long-haul travelers now tend to have a different profile than the travelers we had before. They belong to the higher social categories, having more disposable income, spending more, staying longer as well at the destination, and they tend to come more often than in the past in small groups and family-sized groups, meaning that we have more people staying longer, spending more, and that has as a consequence that revenue is recovering faster than visitor volumes.
This is what the industry wants, actually. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. So we are here in a technology conference, and we discussed a lot about innovations and new technologies that are coming to the industry, and they are going to disrupt the future of the industry. What do you see there? What evolutions you see there?
Well, I think that finally the travel industry has realized the power of data, of big data in particular. We've been talking about it for years, but clearly many operators within the travel ecosystem have seen the light during the crisis simply because they could not afford to make decisions that were not based on data and waste precious resources. So I think there's a much wider adoption of data, much more understanding for data-driven solutions than there was in the past, and this offers fantastic opportunities. What better way to spend whatever marketing budget your company has than on projects that you know are going to target the right people in the right place at the right time?
We talked a lot about artificial intelligence and how that can help the travel industry. In your case, that you're collecting data and artificial intelligence is interpreting the data. Do you think that this will help you somehow in the future to offer you to give you the opportunity to offer better data to the industry?
The key is in the interaction between human intelligence and artificial intelligence. This is why at ForwardKeys we have a large team of analysts that are also going to embrace those new technologies and see what we can make of them.
Excellent. So where are we going next, as the conference asked?
I think we're going to a place that is going to be more professional than it was in the past. The travel sector has grown in maturity, as I said, much more adoption of new technologies, much more adoption of data, less decisions based on gut feeling. This is going in the right direction. I think we're slowly but surely getting back to pre-pandemic levels in terms of visitors numbers and in terms of revenues for sure. The key will be to manage this growth in the right way, in a sustainable way. And here again, I think that data can help make the right decision so that inhabitants and travelers can coexist and exchange in harmony in the different destinations. As we are getting back to 2019 levels, I think we're also getting back to some of the problems that we had pre-COVID. I'm thinking of over-tourism in particular. Sustainability is definitely at the top of the agenda, but now destinations and operators across the travel ecosystem will have to walk the talk and show customers that they are taking this seriously.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time.
You're most welcome.
Thank you.